A very good afternoon to all the doctors and everyone who have joined the webinar today. It's a pleasure for us to have you all here. I'm Dr. Shivangi from the Homeopathic Academy, and we are here today to discuss a very interesting topic, deep understanding of Lycopodium and its clinical correlation with Dr. Minal Parikwani. We have Dr. Minal live with us right now, but before we go ahead with this webinar, let me introduce the Homeopathic Academy to you all. Just give me a second. I will give you a quick introduction to what we are and what is the Homeopathic Academy. The Homeopathic Academy, or THA as we call it, is B Jain efforts towards digitalizing homeopathy and providing a platform for quality education online. THA offers you a range of online courses by well-known academicians on numerous student subjects of homeopathy at UG, PG, UPPSC, CME levels. All these courses are enriched with the state-of-art audio video technology, text and vector animation, give you HD quality audio and video experience made by a dynamic team of qualified doctors, video editors, and many more professions. These courses will perfectly complement your studies to make learning an extraordinary experience. On your screen, you can see some of our courses currently streaming on our website www.tha.com. Dr. Minal already has a course on homeopathic materia medica with competitive approach that is live on our website. Here, Dr. Minal will teach us the homeopathic remedies have a large number of symptoms to be remembered. Dr. Minal Parikwani offers a course on the Homeopathic Academy platform, which enables the learning of crux of polycrust remedies and a strong lays a strong foundation of knowledge of materia medica. Deep understanding of polycrust remedies and its clinical correlation is available on the Homeopathic Academy platform and includes Dr. Minal teaching on important polycrust like sulfur, nux vomica, arsenic, belladonna, include few case discussions. Kindly log on to www.thehomeopathicacademy.com and enroll for the courses. Let me quickly brief homeopathic subjects. Allied subjects, you can see a best of our best selling and the course from known authors from all over the world. Also, you can see more courses by brilliant authors. Just quickly breezing through them, not taking much of your time. So this is the latest course that we have Miasma of Hahnemann by Farooq Master and some practice of medicine courses from your learning. So that's it. Thank you so much for listening. Coming back to the webinar. Since we already have Dr. Minal with us, let me quickly introduce Dr. Minal to you all before we start with you the presentation and gaining the wisdom from her. Dr. Minal Parikwani is a practicing homeopathic consultant at Pune. Apart from running a homeopathic OPD at KEM Hospital, Pune, she also her private homeopathic practice at two clinics, MG Road and Vanover. She completed her BHMS with flying colors. She stood as a gold medalist in graduation, after which she completed her post graduation in the specialty of practice of medicine. She also has completed the difficult cases within depth analysis course in classical homeopathy at Aloysius, Greece. She has received multiple recognitions, including the Dr. Malti Ellen Noble Award in 2016 and Dr. Mukesh Batra Scholarship in 2016 as a most meritorious student. She has received thorough clinical training in the medical field under renowned homeopathic and allopathic consultants. She has been privileged enough to be trained and guided by a doctor of modern medicine for a detailed clinical expertise. She enjoys teaching and offer her teaching on our homeopathic platform, the Homeopathic Academy. She is an ardent supporter for the service of mankind and inspired to do so through homeopathy. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here with us. So, ma'am, before I hand over to you, we start learning. Let me quickly explain our learners how the interface works. So, all you have a small chat box. all you have a small chat box in the left hand side of your screen. You can type your question, whatever message you have for Dr. Manal, right there, and press the button next to it to send it to us. I request all of you send your questions only after Dr. Manal lecture is over. So without wasting any more time, let's start the learning. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Shivangi. A very good afternoon to all of you present here. So today, let's begin with the topic. So today, I'm sure everybody is aware about Lycopodium. You all know many symptoms about Lycopodium. But what we are going to see today is how these symptoms have evolved in Lycopodium. Second, what we will be seeing is the application of these symptoms for the selection of this remedy in our common clinical conditions. And of course, a detailed drug picture of Lycopodium. So let's begin our webinar. So this is what we'll be seeing today. Firstly, we'll be seeing the basics about Lycopodium, followed by the pathogenesis, that is how the symptoms have evolved in Lycopodium. Then we'll be seeing the guiding points, followed by the generalities, the mind symptoms, the keynotes on the physical level. We will learn how to identify a Lycopodium individual by observation. The characteristic modalities of Lycopodium will be covered, followed by the clinical conditions in which Lycopodium will be indicated. And lastly, I will give you a small insight about some researches on Lycopodium. Firstly, let's begin with the basics about Lycopodium. Now, as you can see in the image, Lycopodium is a fern, but its common name is club moss, but it has no features of a moss. Now, what exactly is a moss? Now, while you are traveling, you can see on the rocks or on the damp places, you can see flowerless green small plants growing on woods and rocks, which like sway together. Those are mosses. Okay, so though Lycopodium is not a moss, it is called a club moss because it favors humid atmospheres. But it is a fern. Okay, the family is Lycopodiaceae. Now, this Lycopodium clavatum, this group of plants, has evolved more than 400 million years ago. And our remedy Lycopodium is prepared from the trituration of its spores. Now, why are we discussing this? So, basically, why it is important to learn this, that we have to cover here today. There is a concept called as doctrine of signature. What is this doctrine of signature? It is a theory which correlates the outward appearance of a substance or the physical appearances or external properties of a substance with its medicinal qualities. Now here, though it is not a direct doctrine of signature that I can tell you, but it is similar on those lines. Now, Lycopodium, this plant has evolved more than 400 years ago. It has survived this long. Okay, so this is our Lycopodium individual. Lycopodium individuals have a high adaptive power. So they are known for their adjustments, they are known for their adaptability, they are known for their viability. This is how we correlate. So this is the first point that we saw, that Lycopodium plant developed 400 million years ago and it is still there. So it shows that Lycopodium individuals have a great amount of adjustability and viability. Okay, so this is the first feature that we can learn from the plant. Now, second, it was known that Lycopodium was a huge tree earlier, and now it has reduced to the height of a small fern. Now, this reduction in the size that has occurred can help us deduct that Lycopodium individuals are in the search to gain power. This reduction in size that has occurred, basically they feel small, and hence ambition is the only thing on their mind. They want to grow more. So these are the two things that we can derive from the pathogenesis, from the appearance of the plant or the characteristics of the plant. This is similar on lines of a doctrine of signature. Now we go ahead with the pathogenesis of Lycopodium. Now, what exactly is the pathogenesis? Pathogenesis means that we are trying to learn how this symptom complex of Lycopodium has evolved, how these symptoms have evolved in the drug proving. Remember one thing, now whatever we see in the pathogenesis, that on the basis of similia similibus curantur, when that is present in a deceased individual, we prescribe Lycopodium. So here what we see in the pathogenesis is how the symptoms are produced, and these symptoms when present in a deceased individual, we will prescribe Lycopodium. Now beginning with the pathogenesis, now Lycopodium acts upon the ganglionic nervous system. Now what exactly is the ganglionic nervous system is nothing but the peripheral nervous system. Now through this peripheral nervous system, it produces atony, that is a state of relaxation. The normal tone of the muscle, the fiber, the vessel is all lost. And second, what it produces through the action upon the peripheral nervous system is the chronic inflammations. Remember one thing, Lycopodium is not frequently prescribed as an acute remedy. It is more so prescribed in chronic, deep-seated pathologies. Okay. Now, through this peripheral nervous system, Lycopodium has 5 special centers of action. One is the mucous membrane. The mucous membrane, be it anywhere, but it is affected by Lycopodium. Second is the skin. The digestive organs and the liver are a very important site of action of Lycopodium, and lymphatic glandular system. It doesn't mean that other organs or systems are not affected, but these are predominantly affected. Now let us see one by one. So firstly, let's see about the lungs. On the lungs, Lycopodium produces an atonic state. Like I mentioned previously, atony is a state of relaxation. Now, what happens because of this atonic state is, we'll be seeing ahead in the symptoms, but because of this atony, the mucus discharges in the lungs are neither expectorated nor absorbed. And this is the state when Lycopodium is indicated, because there is a complete relaxation of the lungs. So it's neither expectorated nor absorbed. And that is the perfect stage when Lycopodium has to be indicated. Secondly, second pathogenetic feature of Lycopodium is congestion of the lungs. If you see overall, Lycopodium has a lot of congestion, hemorrhagic tendencies, which we'll be seeing in the symptom complex also. Inflammation of the lungs. Remember, chronic inflammations or deep-seated pathologies fall more so into the pathogenesis of Lycopodium, and there are copious mucus discharges. Based on this, we will develop the symptom picture of Lycopodium. Second are the digestive organs. Now, upon the digestive organs, Lycopodium's action is slow peristalsis. It causes a slowness of the entire digestive tract, and there is irregular digestion. Now, because of the slowness, what happens is the development of too much of flatulence, that is gases that develop. Lycopodium, like we all know, is a trio of our flatulent remedies. So now we're trying to understand why is it so important in this flatulence, because the process behind it is that the digestive process becomes slow by the action of during the proving of Lycopodium. Thirdly, we see the lymphatic glandular system. Again, on the lymphatic glandular system, there's a general atonic condition. Remember, try to correlate this general pathogenesis everywhere. That is atonic state, chronic inflammations, congestions, hemorrhages. That will help you form the entire drug picture of Lycopodium. Then you don't have to remember the symptomatology directly. It is you have to apply this pathogenesis and you will evolve the drug picture. That is what we're trying to learn here. So in the lymphatic glandular system, there is a general atonic condition of the lymphatic system. The lymph flow is slowed down. The cervical glands, the lymph nodes become enlarged. Now upon the liver, Lycopodium's important seat of action is the liver. It is indicated in chronic hepatic congestions, inflammations. So account of inflammation we indicated in hepatitis. Because of congestions, we can think of it in abscesses. Upon the skin, Lycopodium pathogenetic action on the skin is dryness. Not only on the skin, even on mucous membranes to a certain extent, does produce dryness. So we have to correlate this now to evolve the symptom picture. Now, first we'll be seeing the guiding points of Lycopodium. That is, when these points are present, you should automatically be guided to Lycopodium. That is, somewhere in your list of probable list of remedies, Lycopodium should be there if these points are present. That is, firstly, the persons who are intellectually keen but physically weak. Secondly, in Lycopodium, the upper part of the body is emaciated and the lower part is semi-dropsical. Thirdly, individuals who are predisposed to lung and hepatic affections, respiratory system, liver are important seat of actions of Lycopodium. Lycopodium is indicated in deep-seated chronic diseases, like I've been mentioning in the previous slides as well. Chronic diseases not so much indicated in acute diseases, and deep-seated pathologies are covered by Lycopodium. In nearly all cases where Lycopodium is the remedy, there will definitely be some evidence of a urinary or a digestive disturbance. This is like a confirmatory sign that you have a urinary or a digestive disturbance. It can be a confirmation that Lycopodium is the right remedy that you have prescribed. Next is the generalities. So we'll be seeing the physical general properties of Lycopodium first. Emaciation. Like we saw previously, emaciation is more marked in the upper half of the body, but overall Lycopodium individuals are emaciated. Secondly, weakness. Weakness, they feel a lot of loss of strength, and that is worse after every effort. Slightest exertion makes it difficult for them. And this weakness is felt even during rest. And every movement is dreaded because after that they feel extremely weak and lethargic. Lycopodium individuals take cold easily. There is a general lack of vital heat in these individuals. Now we all know this characteristic modality of Lycopodium, that is aggravation between 4 to 8 p.m. This is never to be forgotten. It's a confirmatory sign that Lycopodium is a right remedy. Aggravation in between 4 to 8 p.m. Now, one more important symptom is at night when these individuals lie down or when they take rest, that is the time when they start getting pain in the limbs. A very important general feature. Also in the afternoons, basically afternoon again when they lie down, this symptom can be present, that is drawing and tearing pain in the limbs. We continue with the generalities. Now, bread. In this modern day, we see a lot of people having problem with bread. They have an aversion to bread. They don't like bread. And also, if they eat bread, there is a lot of aggravation, obviously, of the stomach or of the gastrointestinal system. So, aversion to bread and aggravation from bread are important symptoms. Yes. Now, next, coming to varicosities. Now, Lycopodium also has a seat of action on the portal system. The varicosities is a very important symptom in Lycopodium, and these varicosities are found in the lower limb. They are present on the genitals. Okay, and this varicosities basically lead to a lot of pain again in the lower limb. Next general feature is the desires. The desires that they have are for sweets. They love sweet foods, hot food, and drink. Now, Lycopodium individual will be among those people in the entire group who can finish a hot cup of maybe tea, coffee, milk the first. So they desire hot food and hot drinks. Even while having lunch or dinner, they make sure that the food is warmed again. They like hot food and hot drinks. Now, Lycopodium has a general desire for open air. Now, remember one thing, they are chilly individuals. But they like open air, they like to be cooled. They are generally ameliorated in that situation. Another important generality of Lycopodium is right-sided affections. The affection is in the right side or it goes from right to left. Now, be it the throat complaints, be it the lung involvement, that is the right lung affection, be it the liver, which is again a right-sided organ, the aggravation from lying on the right side, or the symptoms go from right to left. So right-sided affections are very important in Lycopodium. Also hernias. Right-sided hernia is an important indication of Lycopodium. Now we will be seeing the keynotes of the mind first. Now, first point that I have mentioned, ambitious. I think now you can correlate it with what I tried to explain by showing that plant image. Lycopodium individuals can do anything to achieve what they want. They are definitely hard workers. We cannot deny that fact that they work hard. They can do anything to achieve a position, to achieve a rank. And they are equally intellectual. Now, amongst the few very intellectual remedies of our materia medica is Lycopodium, sulfur, Nux vomica. These are all intellectuals. Lycopodium's intellectual abilities with their physical weakness is a characteristic. Now, despite the fact that they are so intellectual, they have a dread of appearing in public. Now, this fear, now even though people who are used to appearing in public have this fear as well. Now, this is similar to Cilicia. Cilicia also has this fear. But what is the difference between Lycopodium and Cilicia? Lycopodium deep down feels inside that he is not capable enough to achieve a particular thing. Maybe he will make some mistake. He will forget when he goes on stage. And that is the reason he has this dread. But Cilicia, in Cilicia, what happens is that they are more conscious of their image. So the difference is that a Lycopodium individual will go on stage, but he will have a fear to talk. But a Cilicia individual will have a fear to go on stage only. He would not like to step on stage because he is conscious about his image. That is the basic difference between Lycopodium and Cilicia. Now, Lycopodium individuals have a great fear of being alone. And they don't like company also. This is a contradictory fact. So now how it works with Lycopodium is they don't want somebody with them all the time, but they want that individual to be at front so that he can see him in his sight, in his vision. So I'll give you an example. So Lycopodium individual wants somebody in the next room of the house, but not in the same room. That is the difference. So they have a fear of being alone. They don't want to be alone in the house, but they don't want that individual to be in his room as well. So that is the main characteristic feature of Lycopodium. Now, these individuals are extremely sensitive. Slightest trifles, I mean, they are worsened by slightest trifles. And anger. Now, anger is similar to Nux vomica. Nux also has anger. Lyco also has anger. How would you differentiate it? Nux anger is in a way when the individual of Nux will get angry only when you go near him, or he will shout or he will express only when you go near him. But a Lycopodium individual will go all the way to find that individual and will quarrel with him. So that's the basic difference. Nux is snappish only if you go near him, and Lycopodium will go all the way to fight with a person. Next is the lacrimal mood of Lycopodium. They are constantly weeping, they are sad, they are gloomy individuals. Now, despite this lacrimal mood, there is this imperiousness, that is the dominating nature of Lycopodium. Now, what happens is they are intellectual, they are ambitious, and through that, they reach a certain rank in their life. Now, when they reach a certain level of position in their life, they do develop this dominating nature. Okay, it is not a full-blown ego. I would say it is a dominating nature because of their rank. Next comes the despondency. They are extremely sad, gloomy individuals. Tired. With all this, they are mentally fatigued. And then what happens is when all of this state persists for very long, the Lycopodium individual eventually develops a lot of anxiety, tremendous lack of confidence. They cannot do anything by themselves. A confirmatory symptom to ask for about Lycopodium individuals is whenever you have to take a decision, whenever a Lycopodium individual has to take a decision, he will need somebody, a moral support, to say that the decision is right. He will confirm with maybe anybody in the house or somebody to give him assurance that his decision is right, and then he will take the decision. So when all of this state is present for very long, then there is a state of lycopodium where there is tremendous anxiety, tremendous lack of self-confidence, a gloomy state, a despondent state. So this is how the mental picture of lycopodium evolves. Now we will see the chief sphere of action of lycopodium. Like we saw in the guiding points as well, gastrointestinal system, very important sphere of action. Respiratory system, urinary system, reproductive system, skin, and the portal system. These are the chief sphere of actions. Let's see one by one. Now, first is the gastrointestinal system. Firstly, great appetite. Lycopodium individuals have a great appetite. But as soon as they start eating, they feel full. That is a sensation of satiety that I'm talking about. The appetite is to an extent that if they don't eat, they get headaches. And also they have to wake up at night with a sensation of hunger. This is similar like sorinum and sina. So that much is the appetite. But the sensation of satiety is equally marked. A few mouthfuls. This is a very characteristic symptom that all of us must have read. That a few mouthfuls causes a sensation of satiety. Flatulence. Lycopodium is our trio of flatulent remedies. The other two being carboveg and cinchona. How would you differentiate between the three? Carboveg has flatulence more marked in the upper abdomen. Lycopodium has flatulence more marked in the lower abdomen. And cinchona has flatulence of the whole abdomen. Also, in Lycopodium, remember that sometimes there is a distension of the hypochondriac regions as well, along with the lower abdomen, rumbling and grumbling. So there is a loud grumbling of abdomen in Lycopodium, especially of the lower abdomen. Lycopodium individuals are not relieved by belching, just like cinchona. Despite of this flatulent state, fullness of the abdomen, belching will not relieve a Lycopodium individual. Sourness is present of the entire gastrointestinal tract. There are sour eructations, there is heartburn, there is a sour taste in the mouth. So the entire gastrointestinal tract is sour. Moving next, constipation. Constipation is a very important feature of Lycopodium. Now, constipation is present in Nux vomica also. What is the difference between the constipation of Lycopodium and Nux vomica? Again, go back to the pathogenesis. In Nux vomica, there is an irregular peristaltic activity which is responsible for the constipation. But in Lycopodium, there is contraction of the anal sphincter. Again, remember, a tonic state of the anal sphincter, atony pathogenesis, which is why there is a constipation. So there is an urge for stool, but it is difficult to pass the motion. Whenever there is passage of stool, there is tremendous pain, which lasts even after stool has been passed. So there is a frequent and ineffectual desire for stool. Ineffectual, you understand, because there is contraction of the anal sphincter. Hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoid is a very important symptom of Lycopodium. Now, these hemorrhoids are bleeding hemorrhoids, but this bleeding is disproportionate to the size of the hemorrhoid. Even though the hemorrhoid is small, but the bleeding is too much. Remember the congestions, the hemorrhagic tendencies in Lycopodium. So everywhere we are correlating the pathogenesis to get the symptoms. And these hemorrhoids are better by hot bathing. Next is the keynotes on the respiratory system, a very important sphere of action of Lycopodium. In pathogenesis, we saw dryness is important pathogenetic feature. So this dryness is present in the nose as well. This dryness is to the extent that there is crust formation and elastic plug formations in Lycopodium. There is sensation of stoppage of nose at night, and the individuals have to breathe through the mouth, similar to sambucus, ammonium carb, even nux vomica. All throughout, you can see that nux and lyco are running very close to each other. Now, coming to the lungs, we saw about the nose, a dry state, stopped at night. Now, coming to the lungs. Lycopodium is indicated in pneumonia where there is delayed resolution. So, see, lycopodium is not indicated in the initial stages. It is indicated when the stage of congestion has passed, when the stage of hepatization has passed, and the stage of resolution is about to start. So when there is a delayed resolution phase that is occurring, that is the time when the mucus or in the lungs is neither expectorated nor absorbed, is the time when lycopodium is indicated. Also, if this stage also passes by and there is an impending suppuration of the lungs, the individual coughs out large amounts of mucus, but the dyspnea is not relieved. That again is a stage where lycopodium can be indicated. Now, in this dyspnea, one important characteristic feature of lycopodium is there is a fan-like motion of the alae nasi. This is there in Antim tart as well. But whenever you see a dyspnic individual and if there is fan-like motion of the alae nasi, lycopodium has to be thought of. Coming to the throat, again, apply the pathogenetic feature, dryness. Throat, there is a lot of dryness. In fact, the saliva dries up on the hard palate and on the lips and they become stiff. Also, the gums and the hard palate have a waxy deposit on them and there is an offensive odor. Ulcerations are also important symptom in lycopodium. Tonsils are also ulcerated. Now, the keynotes on the urinary organs. Urinary system is a very important system of affection in lycopodium. We all know the symptom red sand in urine. Very known symptom of lycopodium. Now, this red sand in urine is usually found on a child's diaper, in a baby's diaper. And if this is detected in an early stage, and if lycopodium is prescribed at that time, then it can prevent the formation of gravel or calculi to occur. Then next is the renal colic. Right-sided affections in lycopodium, the renal colic will also be right-sided. There is tremendous pain in the back in lycopodium, which is relieved by urinating. As soon as you urinate, the pain in the back is relieved. Now, difficult to void urine. Now, I want you to understand the symptom based on the pathogenesis. Atonic state, again apply it here. Atonic state in lycopodium. So, there is a difficulty to void the urine. Okay, and hence there is a retention of urine which occurs. Because there is a retention, there is a dropsical condition which occurs. So, atonic state of the kidney and bladder. So, urine is not voided out, which in turn leads to retention of urine and dropsical conditions. So, very easy to identify the symptom picture then. Next is the keynotes on the reproductive system. Again, hemorrhagic tendencies, congestions, all to be thought of here. There is discharge of blood from the genitals during passage of stool. Be it a hard stool or a soft stool, discharge of blood from the genitals can occur. Lycopodium is indicated in impotence. Again, dryness. Dryness of the vagina. There is burning of the vagina during and after coition. Talking about the menses in lycopodium, the menses usually are too long, continued, and too profuse. The mind state along the menstrual phase in lycopodium is a depressed mode. And also around the menses, there is a lot of indigestion which occurs in lycopodium. A lot of flatulence with lycopodium around menstrual phase. Next is the keynote of fever. Lycopodium is usually indicated in typhoid fevers. And in typhoid fever also, not in the beginning, but at the end of the second week or beginning of the third week, when that individual is sinking towards a state of unconsciousness, if at all. In the initial stages, lycopodium is usually not indicated. End of second week, third week, if at all a patient is sinking towards unconsciousness, lycopodium is to be thought about. The paroxysm between 8 to 9 a.m. in the morning and 6 to 7 p.m. in the evening. But yes, the general afternoon aggravation of 4 to 8 p.m. will be there. Chill sensation. There is a sensation as if he is lying on ice. That is the level of the chilliness. And as soon as the chill stage ends, there is vomiting of an extremely sour fluid. What happens in lycopodium is maybe the heat stage is not present and the chill follows immediately with perspiration. Okay, that can happen. And if at all the heat stage is present, there is a lot of thirst that is present and the individual wants to uncover. But usually the chill is followed by the stage of perspiration. Now in typhoid fever also, the individual will have a bloated abdomen, rumbling, gurgling of the abdomen. There is rattling from the chest. There is either retention of urine or sometimes there is involuntary urination. And delirium, muttering, picking the clothes will be other symptoms that will guide towards lycopodium. Now, identifying by observation. Here, I would like to give you a few points that will guide you to confirm on observation that this individual can be lycopodium. So first is a general paleness and yellowishness with sickly color. That individual looks sick on the face. There's a general paleness, a sickly color that is present. Second, there are deep furrows on the face, very deep. The individual looks older than he is. In fact, in the repertory for precocity, that is children who look older than their age, lycopodium is a marked remedy. Next is the fan-like motion of alienasi, but definitely this occurs with dyspnea whenever present. Next about children, they are weak, emaciated, but they have a well-developed head. And of course, the look is sickly. On touch, now when I say identifying by observation, it just not means by the eyes, but by using all the senses. It can be by touch as well. The one foot is hot and the other is cold in lycopodium individuals. Talking about the tongue. Yes, even in fever, the tongue in lycopodium is swollen. It looks swollen. It is bulky, looks swollen. And on talking, it rolls from side to side like a pendulum. Next is the modalities of lycopodium. We saw the characteristic 4 to 8 p.m. aggravation, right side aggravation. Now, yes, this is important. Lycopodium, even though they are chilly, aggravation from heat, aggravation in a warm room, and warm application. Anything warm that makes them feel better is warm food and drinks. Rest, everything warm and hot worsens them. The stomach complaints and the throat complaints are specifically better by warm food and drinks. They are better by uncovering the head. In general, they are better by cold air, open air. They are better by loosening the garments. Yes, here I would like to mention that lycopodium individuals' abdomen is very sensitive to pressure. They cannot bear tight clothes. So they are ameliorated by loosening the garments and ameliorated from escape of flatus. Yes, so now on the basis of all that we have studied so far, what are the clinical conditions in which lycopodium can be indicated? Renal calculi. We saw right-sided renal colics. Chronic cystitis. Why chronic cystitis? Because of the atonic condition, difficulty to void urine. So chronic cystitis. Third, nasal catarrh. Dryness sensation in the nose, blocked sensation in the nose, crust formation, nasal catarrh. Next, pneumonia. Pneumonia, remember when there is a delayed resolution or an impending suppuration of the lungs, think about pneumonia. Typhoid fever, again, at the end of the second week or beginning of third week. Yes, gallstone colic. Lycopodium also has the formation to develop gallstones, and gallstone colic is also very important pathology that is covered by lycopodium. And yes, all the abdominal symptoms that we found, the characteristics will be present. That is, if at all there is any pain, then aggravation, time aggravation, the flatulence. So all those characteristic symptoms will be present. Hemorrhoids, again, bleeding hemorrhoids, and disproportionate to the size of the hemorrhoid is the bleeding. Hernia, right-sided hernias. Hepatitis, yes, we saw liver affections are very important in Lycopodium, and there is a chronic inflammatory state that's present, so indicated in hepatitis. These are just few that I have mentioned, but there are many, many more clinical conditions in which Lycopodium can be indicated when the characteristic symptoms, when the characteristic pathogenetic features of Lycopodium are present. Now, here I would like to give you all a small new insight on how to learn remedies, or maybe how we can gather more data about our remedies. This is the research data of Lycopodium, and I have just mentioned few research articles here. I'm not going to go too much into detail about this because maybe this is not a topic right now, but here I want to give you an insight that we can also learn about a remedy in this way. And more so, this is more evidence based as well. Firstly, you can see about the hepatoprotective effect. Now, an extract of Lycopodium clavatum has been found to be effective against cancer of the liver, that is hepatocarcinogenesis. Second, anti-cancer properties. Lycopodium clavatum has this content called lycopodine, which inhibits the proliferations of the HeLa cells. This is a cell line basically, and hence it has anti-cancer properties. Action on certain enzymes. Now, Lycopodium has action on proline-containing neuropeptides, and these are involved in learning and memory process. And hence, Lycopodium improves basically memory and learning process in children. Now, these are just few research articles that I have mentioned, and there are many more from which we can learn about a remedy. So this was about Lycopodium. I hope that I was able to impart some knowledge to all of you present here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. This session was indeed very informative. I would like to request all our dear learners to comment on the chat box with questions now. We will begin the question answer round session in a minute. And while they are doing so, Dr. Manal, can you please say a few words about the course that we have done at THA with you?
Sure, Dr. Shivangi. So, everybody here, just like I tried to explain Lycopodium on the basis of the doctrine of signature, on the basis of the pathogenesis, and how symptoms evolve basically, and how do we apply this in our clinical practice in the common clinical conditions. This is what I have tried to explain in the course as well. And there are certain other remedies which are covered up in the course, like natramure, sulfur, belladonna, arsenic. So basically, the course will enable you to have a strong foundation of your materia medica. You will not have to remember the symptoms directly, but you will know how that symptom is present in a particular remedy. So this is about the course. The name of the course is Deep Understanding of Polycrest Remedies and its Clinical Correlation, and it is available on THA website. You all can log on to www.thehomeopathicacademy.com and you all can enroll for my course.
Thank you, ma'am. So, learners, also I would like to tell you that THA has a special offer for you. On the right side of your screen where you are writing your comment, there is an offer section, and you can see the offer on the course celebrating the Independence Day. That is 30% 35% off, for which you can use the code THA35 at checkout on our website. Please remember this offer is valid till 31st August. So if you have not enrolled in the course yet, this is the right opportunity. Please go ahead. Okay, ma'am, we are already flooded with questions. Let's take them. So a learner wants to know, what is the efficacy of lycopodium in dryness of skin and mucous membrane? Ma'am, you're not audible.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. I can
Yeah.
hear you.
So, yeah, so I would like to answer the question. So, like we saw in the pathogenetic feature, that dryness, yes, is an important feature of Lycopodium. So, not only on the skin, also on the mucous membrane. So, any skin condition where dryness is predominant, something like eczema, Lycopodium can definitely be thought of, and it does work wonders when the individual by himself is constitutionally Lycopodium. So, definitely the mind symptoms and the physical generals of Lycopodium have to be there for you to prescribe Lycopodium.
Thank you, ma'am. Another learner wants to know how can we differentiate the stage of fear in Lycopodium and Cilicia?
Stage of
Fear.
fear. Okay. So yes, I think I've covered this up, that the fear in Lycopodium and Cilicia is of appearing in the public. So in Lycopodium, the fear is such that they might forget something when they climb up on stage. They are incapable, is what their feeling is. Hence, they will climb up the stage, but there is a fear to start talking. That is Lycopodium. Second is Cilicia. Cilicia, they have a fear of climbing the stage only because they are more concerned of their image. They are more conscious of their image. That is the basic difference between Lyco and Cilicia. But yes, one thing that is common between both is once they start talking on stage or once they are into that performance, they can do wonders for sure.
Thank you, ma'am. Another question from a learner side is how Lycopodium is beneficial in deep-seated chronic disease.
Okay. So, see, this is a very general question basically. Now, deep-seated chronic diseases are too many to be listed. Take an example of maybe diabetes mellitus. That is a chronic disease, a deep-seated pathology. So, what happens is when you prescribe Lycopodium when indicated, the condition, the physical condition of the individual improves based on a symptom level as well. Plus, you will definitely see a pathological improvement. So, the sugar levels also improve as well. So, any deep-seated chronic pathology, if Lycopodium is the right remedy, then you will definitely see good results with it.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, one more learner wants to know, will the
Hmm.
constitutional symptom improve or change after taking the Lycopodium remedy?
Uh, what constitutional symptom are they mentioning about basically? Anything
Ma'am,
mentioned about that?
no, ma'am.
Okay, so I will just tell you, there are certain constitutional features which are a trait of that individual. So now, what is a trait of an individual cannot be changed, but that definitely guides us to the selection of a remedy, and that will take care of the pathological problems. So maybe if certain constitutional features cannot be completely reversed back. So sometimes we notice, like I'll give you an example of Cilicia, if there's too much sweating of the sweating which occurs on the extremities, and that's a constitutional feature of that individual. So maybe that cannot be completely reverted back by prescribing Cilicia, but that will guide you to select Cilicia. And if that individual has a pathological problem, then that can be taken care of for sure. Constitutional features sometimes cannot be completely reverted, but it definitely depends on what you need to address in the individual.
Thank, thank you, ma'am. Another question from a learner side is, what is the potency and dose of Lycopodium in case of fear of people, like fear of being wrong, fear of stage? What potency and dose of Lycopodium we will use?
Okay. So basically, see, potency selection is a very vast topic, and we definitely need an entire lecture to discuss that. But I'll tell you in general that whenever usually mind symptoms are more prominent on the basis of your of which you are prescribing, then we go for a higher potency. And it is if you are directly prescribing for a pathology, then you usually go for a lower potency. But potency selection definitely has a lot of different aspect into it, and we'll really require an entire new session on this.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think we have almost taken up all the question. So let's take the last question, ma'am. Is Lycopodium beneficial for eczema?
Yes, like I answered in the very first question, lycopodium is effective in eczema when the constitutional features match, when the person is constitutionally lycopodium.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think it's time to wind up here. Thank you so much for such an informative and enriching experience. Thank you, ma'am. A very warm gratitude from behalf of THA and from behalf of BJN.
Thank you, Dr. Shivangi, and thank you, all the listeners. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. I would like to thank you all learners, the homeopathic fraternity who have joined us here today, and of course, Team THA who have been working hard to make this webinar as well as the TH success. Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Keep learning, keep improving. Thank you, ma'am.